I missed a call from my wife at 4 a.m. When she walked in later that day, looking like she'd seen a ghost, I had no idea that call was her trying to confess to the one thing I told her I'd never forgive. What followed wasn't just heartbreak, it was manipulation, lies, desperation, and a twisted attempt to win me back that left me speechless. I'm 32, and I've been married to my wife Jenny, who's 30, for about 4 years now. We've actually been together for 9. Honestly, I thought we had one of those rock-solid marriages. You know, the kind where folks say, "Man, you two are lucky." We communicated well, barely fought over anything, and things in the bedroom? Let's just say they only got better with time. We'd even talked about cheating before, and I made it crystal clear, if that line ever got crossed, we were done. No second chances. Last weekend, Jenny went back to her folks' place in Ohio. Nothing unusual there, she did that every now and then. But before she left Friday night, we had a little spat over keeping the house clean. Nothing major, but it put a bit of a damper on our texts Saturday. I knew she was heading out with some friends to a bar that night, but I trusted her completely. Didn't think twice about it. Before I hit the sack, I shot her a quick text, something like, "Hope you had a good night." The next morning, I woke up to see I'd missed a call from her at 4 a.m. My gut twisted a little, so I called her back right away. No answer. Tried again a few times throughout the morning, still nothing. Finally, about an hour later, she texted saying she was fine and driving back soon. When Jenny walked through the door that afternoon, I barely recognized her. She looked wrecked, eyes swollen from crying, no makeup, which was rare for her, just hollow. Like someone had sucked the life out of her. Right then and there, I knew something was off. I tried to hug her, but she pulled away, barely saying a word. I sat her down on the couch, made her some tea, and gently asked what was going on. That's when she completely lost it, sobbing like I'd never seen before, for a solid 10 minutes. I just sat there, holding the cup, feeling helpless. Finally, between the tears and gasps, she told me she'd slept with someone the night before after the bar. I swear, it felt like my brain just snapped. There's no other way to put it. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood up, grabbed my keys, and drove off without a word. I ended up at this park across town, walking aimlessly for an hour while my phone buzzed non-stop. I shut it off. When I finally went home, I didn't say anything to her. Just went straight to the garage, grabbed 2 suitcases, packed up some of her clothes and shoes, and left them by the front door. Jenny was curled up on the living room floor, sobbing like her world had ended. I called her best friend, Lisa, who lives nearby, and told her Jenny needed a place to stay and a ride. I didn't get into details, told her Jenny would fill her in. Before I left again, I told Jenny that Lisa was on her way and that I'd be gone for a bit. She clung to my legs, begging me not to leave, but I shook her off. When I got back, she and the suitcases were gone. Monday came, and my head was a little clearer. I finally picked up one of Jenny's endless calls and told her straight, I wanted an email with every detail of what happened that night. If she left anything out, there'd be no hope, period. She sent it that night. Still haven't opened it. Since then, my phone's been blowing up, her friends, even family. I've been ignoring everyone, just keeping my head down, work, gym, sleep, repeat. One of her friends even showed up at my door, demanding answers. I told her to ask Jenny and shut the door. I've already talked to a couple of divorce lawyers, moved my money into separate accounts, and blocked Jenny and her entire circle on everything. Feels like I've been on autopilot ever since. No anger, no sadness, just nothing. Like I'm watching someone else live my life. Yesterday, Jenny slid a note through the door asking if I'd meet her today. And honestly, I don't know what the hell to do. Would seeing her change anything? Is there even a point? Is it normal to feel this numb? How do you even start feeling human again? Quick side note, when I first got home and she told me, she did admit it was fully consensual. Yeah, she was drunk, but not so drunk that she didn't know what she was doing. Too long, didn't read, wife cheated out of nowhere, and I've been running on autopilot ever since. So I ended up meeting Jenny after reading through folks' advice, but I still didn't touch that email. She showed up at the house yesterday, and man, she looked rough. First thing she did was try to hug me, muttering apologies, but I stopped her. We sat down at the kitchen table, and I told her I'd be recording our talk. She agreed. I asked her to walk me through exactly what happened, told her I hadn't read her email. She said she'd been out at the bar with 2 friends I actually get along with. Then she told me what she drank, and I'll be honest, I was surprised. It wasn't much. Just a couple glasses of wine and a cocktail, the same stuff we'd have on a regular dinner night. She admitted she was only a little tipsy. Then came the part one knew was coming. Her friend Lisa's younger brother, Jake, 27, came to pick them up around midnight. It's been this running joke for years that Jake's had a thing for Jenny since high school. I'd heard them laugh about it before. After grabbing some late-night food, Jake dropped everyone off until it was just him and Jenny. She told me she didn't want him driving the 20 minutes to her parents' place after a long day, so she figured she'd order an Uber from his apartment. But she couldn't get a ride. Jake suggested she crash in his bed while he took the couch, and he'd drop her off in the morning. Jenny said she refused and kept trying to get that Uber. Then, sitting on his bed, he kissed her. And she kissed him back. Next thing she knew, they were having sex. Again, she made sure to tell me it was consensual. After that she broke down crying from guilt and Jake took her home. She cried the whole way. She tried calling me at 4 a.m. to confess. We had to pause the conversation more times than I can count because she kept breaking down, saying it was a mistake, that she only loves me, that it meant nothing, all the usual stuff. When she finished, I told her flat out, her story didn't add up. But honestly, it didn't matter anymore. I was done. That sent her into another meltdown. I told her I'd be moving forward with divorce plans, but I'd give it a month of no contact, just space to process. During that time, we'd both stay faithful, get tested for STDs, and she'd have to tell our friends and family exactly what happened. If she stuck to all that, maybe, just maybe, I'd agree to sit down again and see if there was anything left to salvage. She agreed right away but said she didn't expect me to stay faithful. Funny how that works. Look, I know plenty of folks will rip me apart for even considering anything other than divorce. But I need to be absolutely sure before I close this chapter for good. I'm still 99% certain it's over, but I need to get to that last 1% before I walk away without a doubt. So, Jenny's been out there telling folks I kicked her out over some petty argument. Yeah, you heard that right. Mutual friends and even her family started blowing up my phone, sending nasty messages, and a couple even showed up at my place, demanding answers. All because Jenny left out one tiny detail, that she cheated. I told her straight up before, I didn't need her giving everyone a play-by-play, but she damn well needed to tell them the truth. This wasn't about dirty dishes, it was about her being unfaithful. I heard her story, don't buy half of it, but I'm slowing down the divorce just to be sure there's nothing left worth saving. Anyway, a lot's happened this past week, so I figured I'd throw out an update for anyone still following this train wreck. First off, I'm definitely not in that zombie, robot mode anymore. Nah, now it comes in waves. 1 minute I'm fine, the next I'm seeing red, feeling every ounce of betrayal. I've been keeping busy though, work, hitting the gym harder than ever, and my buddies have been solid, dragging me out of the house so I don't sit around stewing in it. I finally caved and read Jenny's email. Wish I hadn't. Most of it was the same story she told me face to face, but there was no mention of that whole ordering an Uber from Jake's place lie. Nope, that part vanished. Instead, I got hit with way too many graphic details. Exactly what they did, how long it lasted, and that they apparently used a condom. That's an image I'll never scrub from my brain. Funny how folks who were trashing me for kicking her out suddenly changed their tune after hearing the truth. Some even apologized. Not that I care, they can keep their apologies. Jenny's parents reached out too. We always had a good relationship before this mess, so I took their call. They begged me to give Jenny another shot, but said they'd understand if I couldn't. I didn't promise anything. Then Jenny's other friend from that night, Megan, called me. She wanted to share her version of events. Pretty much lined up, bar, food, then home. She told me she offered Jenny a place to crash, but Jenny said no, planning to drive home early. Apparently, Jake insisted on taking her instead. Megan never mentioned any Uber nonsense, just that Jake invited Jenny inside and she agreed. I asked if she ever thought something was going on before, and she told me about a time last year when she met Jenny for coffee and found Jake already sitting with her. Said Jenny looked guilty but brushed it off as a coincidence. Even Sarah, Jake's sister, reached out. She was furious with both of them. Told me her whole family was pissed at Jake and that she hadn't spoken to Jenny since finding out. She apologized for her idiot brother, and said she'd warned him for years to stay away from Jenny. She didn't think anything had happened between them before, but who really knows? I haven't heard a word from Jenny herself, but I did hear she's moving into an Airbnb near our place. Supposedly, she's not handling things well, called in sick to work a few times. At least she's got Megan supporting her, and I asked her parents to keep an eye on her. They came up to visit over the weekend. As for me, I went out with my friends, had too many drinks at a bar, and ended up chatting with a girl who, in a different life, I probably would have taken home. But I stopped myself. I've already lost enough self-respect dealing with this. I wasn't about to toss away what little I had left. Reading that email, hearing all the lies, it killed whatever hope I was holding on to. Knowing she's still hiding things? Yeah, that sealed it. I'm pushing forward with a divorce, and honestly, I might not wait out the full month before telling Jenny it's final. Now, I wasn't sure if I should even post this next part. It might be too much info, but folks seem invested, so here we go. Last week, Jenny emailed asking if she could swing by to grab some work stuff. My lawyer said I couldn't block her from getting her things, so I told her she could come by Thursday night while I was at the gym. I made it clear, be out by 7:30. When I got home at 8, guess who was still there? I walk in and see her setting a few things by the stairs, and chopping veggies like she lived there. Place was spotless, cleaner than I'd seen it in weeks. And Jenny? Yeah, she looked incredible. Hair done, makeup on point, wearing that dress I always liked. It was obvious what she was trying to do. I stayed calm and told her to leave, but she stopped at the door and asked if we could talk. I should have shut it down, but I gave in. We sat down and talked for about an hour, bouncing around topics. Like before, I told her I was recording, and she agreed. First thing I asked was if she stuck to the agreement we made: no contact, stay faithful, get tested, tell people the truth. She said she'd done all that. STI test came back clean, mine too thankfully. Pregnancy test negative, no other guys, and she told some friends and family. Apparently, a lot of them were pissed and weren't speaking to her. I had a ton of questions swirling in my head, so I fired away. That whole Uber excuse? Total crap, she admitted it. Said Jake invited her in for a drink and she knew, deep down, where it was heading. Couldn't explain it beyond being selfish and liking the attention. She also confessed they'd texted over the years. Jake would flood her with compliments, and she soaked it up. Claimed she never sent him anything explicit, but still, she kept that door open. Then she dropped that they had hooked up once, 6 months before we even started dating. No sex, but enough to plant curiosity in her mind. That coffee shop story? Jake texted her, she told him where she was, and he showed up. Simple as that. She swore up and down this was the first and only time anything happened since we'd been together. Said there was nothing wrong in our marriage, called it perfect, and that she hated herself for blowing it all up and hurting me. I told her straight, I don't buy her story. There's no trust left, so there's no point dragging this out. That's when she asked what she could do to fix it. She offered everything: full phone access, location sharing, never going out without me, you name it. Clearly, she'd been Googling how to win back your husband after cheating. I told her I wasn't about to be her warden. I'm not built for that, and even if I was, I'd never get past the betrayal. Then things took a weird turn I didn't see coming. She asked me to turn off the recording because she wanted to talk about something private. I said no. After a pause, she went ahead anyway. She asked if I'd hooked up with anyone since all this went down, made it clear she was totally fine if I had. I told her no. That's when she flipped the script and started getting, well, let's just say suggestive. Talking dirty, bringing up all the wild stuff I'd wanted to try over the years, stuff we either hadn't done or only dabbled in. She said she wanted to meet my needs, even if we did not get back together. So yeah, Jenny really thought she could fix everything with sex. She started offering up threesomes, said we could have as many as I wanted, or hell, we could even have an open relationship, but just on my side. She'd even go out of her way to find partners for me or us. It was clear she was throwing everything at the wall, hoping something would stick. She kept pushing, trying to get a reaction out of me, asking who I'd want to have a threesome with. I don't know what came over me, but I threw out the name of her coworker, this stunning girl, 5 years younger than Jenny, absolute knockout. That definitely caught her off guard, but she was too deep into her little plan to back out. So, she asked what I'd want to do with her. That's when I leaned in and painted a pretty graphic picture, one of those scenarios I knew would get a reaction. Jenny played along, encouraging me, right up until I said she'd just be watching the whole thing. I saw her flinch, but she kept pretending like she was fine with it. Looking back, I know I only said all that to hurt her, to get a bit of petty revenge. And honestly, I don't feel great about that. But Jenny? She thought she had me. She hiked up her dress, got into that position on the couch she knew drove me crazy, and started begging me to sleep with her. I'll admit it, my body reacted for a second. Old habits, I guess. But my head? It wasn't there. Suddenly, everything snapped into focus. The lies, that damn email, every detail of what she did. And out of nowhere, I just started laughing. Not a little chuckle, full-on, can't-breathe belly laughing. She looked crushed, backed off, and the tears came quick. I pulled myself together and told her it was time to go. She left fast, probably mortified. On her way out, I told her to get herself a lawyer because we were getting divorced. The wave of clarity after she walked out confirmed it. I dodged a damn bullet. I've got a meeting with my lawyer this week, and I'm ready to get this divorce moving as fast as possible. The past few months? Yeah, they've been rough. I've only seen Jenny a handful of times in person since everything blew up. After a few weeks of radio silence, I figured it was time for one last conversation, just to make sure I wasn't making decisions out of pure emotion. We grabbed lunch and had a calm grown-up talk about everything, what happened, where we stood, and if there was even a path to fixing it. Jenny said she'd do anything to make things right. And you know what? I believed her. But I still didn't commit to anything. Not long after, she asked if I'd join her for a session with her therapist, someone who also works with couples. Took me a few days to think it over, but I agreed. The session wasn't easy. A lot of tears, a lot of digging into painful stuff. But even then, I never got a real answer to the question that mattered most: why she cheated in the first place. Credit to the therapist though, they stayed neutral, didn't take sides. We talked about what reconciliation would actually look like, but by the end, I told Jenny I still felt divorce was the best option. Last week, I drove up to her parents' place to return some tools I'd borrowed from her dad. We planned it so Jenny would be there and her folks would head out for a while to give us space. Before she arrived, I had a good chat with her parents. They were heartbroken, it was tough seeing that, but they were supportive, told me they understood. When Jenny showed up, I laid it all out. I told her I'd thought long and hard about everything, but I couldn't move forward with her. I just knew deep down, we'd never get back to what we had. Trust like that doesn't just bounce back. Even if it could, it'd take years of work, and I wasn't willing to gamble a decade of my life on something that might never feel right again. She finally accepted it. We had a calm, practical talk about splitting assets, selling the house, all that fun stuff. We drafted up an email to our lawyers and ended things on decent terms, well, as decent as they could be. The divorce should be wrapped up by the end of the year, and the house is going on the market soon. Until then, we agreed to stay no contact and hold off on dating anyone until everything's finalized. That said, I've had a few casual flings. It's weird being back in the single world after so long, but I'm adjusting. I've been hitting the gym more, spending time with friends and family, and getting back into hobbies I'd put on the shelf. I won't lie, losing my marriage hit me hard. But I'm starting to feel optimistic again. This whole mess forced me to grow, to really look at who I am and what I want. So to everyone who offered advice or just a few words of support, thank you. It meant more than you know.